Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. In this video will be a tutorial on Blender. This is one of the first parts in my new tutorial series about Blender for complete beginner, and we will create a Hornet model throughout the way, also set up a scene and render it. If you still don't know what Blender is, it's actually a free and open source software, 3D software that is used for many products and films. But it can really get hard when you start learning it. So this series is created for that, for complete beginners who want to learn Blender. Maybe you click on this video just because you wanted to see what Blender is, or you are a complete beginner who was looking to learn Blender. Then this tutorial is for you. Starting this will be part 1, where we will learn the essentials and all the things that is the absolute basics and the things you need to create a really starter project. So let's get started. Okay, first, I'm in Google here, and I'm going to show you how to download Blender. So, in this link below, this is blender.org, which this link leads you to the official Blender site. You can go in Safari, Google, Chrome, whatever, and click on this download here. You can see there are this download button. Also, you can change this for different systems that you have and different hardware you have. And then just click download. Follow the instruction and your Blender should be ready. Also, before we start the tutorial, I'm using Blender 4.5.3. As you can see here, 4.5.3 long-term support, LTS, which means it will be long-term support by Blender, just like that. And this, I think, is the latest long-term support major update. But you can still use 4.4, 4.3 if you want. But I recommended using 4.5 to have the best results. And if you're looking for to have the exact thing like me, then you should try 4.5. Since I think there are maybe some changes carry on, like the UI of the buttons. Okay, so without talking, let's go. First, when you first open Blender, this Blender icon over here, you can see this. Now, this is the place where you create a new file. Now, there are many presets files for you, many presets project for you. For example, 2D animation is specifically created as a preset for 2D animations. Sculpting is for sculpting. VFX is for like VFX working on like movies. But for now, we're just gonna use general. Also, this tab over here, you may not have it for the first time you open up Blender. You may not have these projects here. The reason is because these are the recent files that you created. Okay, one more thing before I forgot is that I have created a short. My first short. And in that short, make sure you check that out. I have talked about that I will create a tutorial series on creating Hornet. So, please check it out, and I spent a lot of time on it. Okay, let's get started. So, when you create a project file, just click on this general. That's what we need for now. Click on it. Now, when you start, you can see there are many buttons, many tabs, many windows, a lot of settings, and you should probably start with this cube over here. But for the basics, this area over here, this area, is the 3D viewport, where you spend most of your time with. This is where your visuals, like this is representing your mesh, the icon representing different things, and basically the 3D area that you work with. Okay, So now let's start with the absolute basics. Navigation. To navigate, it's quite a bit unintuitive, but you may get used to it later on. The navigation of Blender is quite unintuitive, and it takes me a really long time to actually get used to it. So, first, to zoom in and out, you just scroll the scroll wheel, which is really simple. Now, to rotate around in 360 degrees, and like taking a look at different sides, you're gonna press the scroll wheel. I think most of mouse have a scroll wheel and it is clickable, and you can hold it and you can rotate it around. Yay! Now, we also have to pan, meaning I just move around this. So hold Shift while holding and pressing the scroll wheel, and you should be able to pan. Also, all these can do with these buttons. This, hold this, and drag is for rotating around. This is for zooming in and out, but I think I don't get used to this much. And this is for pan. The other I will look further on in future videos. So, after you nail the navigation, congratulations, you completed your first step and the most important step. Next, we're going to learn about transforms. Now this cube, what about I want a rectangle and not a cube? Well, if you take a look at the tabs over here, these are the tabs mainly from the transforms. You can see move, rotate, scale, and transform, which means all of them. So let's try and click on this arrow, which is move. And you can see a gizmo that's appearing on a square. Also, if you don't select anything, make sure you select the thing you want to move. If you select anything, you press, nothing will just appear because it doesn't select anything. So it won't appear. Make sure you select the thing that you want it to transform, and I just click on this and the arrow should be appear. And now you can use these arrows to move them around. Now the reason why they color differently is to show the different axes they represent. In three-dimensional, you should already know this, is that there are three axes, Z, X, and Y, and these colors represented for different axes that they move in. The blue one, up and down, X. The up and down Z, The red one move in this direction, which is X. And the green one move in the Y direction. You can also move them freely around by just pressing on one of these squares. But you can see it also locks it in. So, there are also shortcuts for this. You're going to press G, select the object you want to move, and press G. And you can be able to move it now. And Blender is full of shortcuts like this. If you hover over to the move, you can see it shows you shortcut is G or tab and spacebar. Most of the time for your keyboard, it should be G. So like this. Now how do we lock it in an axis? Like how we does with these arrows. Well, simple enough. You just press G and press the axis you want to lock it in. For example, I want to lock it up and down, Z. Now it is locked. To confirm, you can just left click. And now it has been succeed and it has confirmed with you. Although if you press G, I can see that it's like they moved before. So that's the reason why locking the axis is so useful in many circumstances. Now, let's create a new object. This cube is quite boring. I don't want this cube anymore. So how do we delete it? Well, simple. We can just right click it, and over here, down the bottom, delete. You can just delete. And also, you can see the shortcut for it is X. So you can just simply press X and confirm to delete. But some of you may be able to even just press the delete button and it will delete directly the cube instead of pressing X. But for me, I'm using Mac, so I'll use X, which is what I'll use normally. Okay, so X, delete. Now how do we create a new object? Well, just hold Shift and then press A, Shift A, and then now you can see there's a whole tab for you to work with many options. What you work most with is Mesh, which is basically an object in Blender. And that's how it calls in 3D softwares. So, there's cube, plane is just like a 2D square, circle is also a 2D circle. There's UV sphere, icosphere, cylinder, cone, torus. But monkey look interesting. So I'll click monkey. And now, yay. Once again, we have a new object and now it's really way more interesting than a cube. Now, this monkey is created. So we just learned how to create object and delete objects. Also, you can also add an object up here in this tab, which works basically the same. But I tend to use Shift A more, one because it's faster, and also I have this search option, which is an extra option when you press Shift A. But for beginners and starters, you should try to use shortcuts more because it just basically speeds up your production. So you don't have to search for buttons, click them, and then confirm. You just need pressing your keys, which it will show really important later on in the future when you start diving deeper into Blender and started having a real production project. Okay, now I want to talk about something that is also really important. This tab over here, we're starting to go other tabs instead of this 3D viewport. This is called an outliner, and it works basically like a list of your meshes and objects. For example, as you can see here, I have my light, which I can click on the list too, and also my camera, which basically displays what will be in the render. So I'll dive deeper into Blender in one of the last videos, but for now, you can just understand it as the final step in converting your project into an image, which what in this camera will only be displayed in the render. So the other parts won't be able to see in the render, and it will be just an image in this frame. Okay, so you can see there's a collection too, and it works basically like how icons represent, which is a collection box, and it's really simple. It's just one of its basic form is just help you organize. You can click these arrows and boom, organize. And this can be really useful in, once again, production, because once you have a big production, there's a lot of things and a lot of meshes and objects to work with, and finding them with just one big mesh, one big list is really insane. So you can create a new collection and organize them and naming them. For now, we will use them. We won't use them. Okay, so now let's learn undo and redo. How do we do it? Well, with most programs, you can undo and redo, which what undo does is basically move to your most previous latest action. So, for example, I'm just going to scale it Okay, for the rotate, I forgot to learn for the transforms. The rotate will help you rotate. Real simple. The scale, help you scale. Also real simple. And you can all use them by the shortcut, which is shown, which is S for scale, and R for rotate. So all of them work the same, and they also lock axes. Okay, now I want you to do something, which is learn, undo, and redo. As I just said before, first I just stretch this monkey all the way. Now this looks bad. I don't want that. Or I accidentally do that. How can I fix it? Well, you can hold Command and press Z, which is Command Z, and now it's go into your previous latest state. But now, what if I want to send back the stretched image? Of course, you can just drag and stretch it out, but I think it won't be accurate and also really slow. So you just do it once again to redo. Command Shift, hold Command Shift, and then press Z, and it should move to your latest step. Command Z. Okay. And there should be more and a lot to learn in Blender. But for now on, feel free to experiment with different transforms, different settings if you want. Explore more of the collections and more transforms. Also, before I end this video, if you're confusing what this transform is, well, it's just basically a combination of all the things for you to do them all at one time. Yeah, just like that. Quite boring. There's Command Z. Okay, but now we have the essentials, absolute basics we have. And now let's jump into part 2, the next part, and we will start creating Hornet head. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to support me and my channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. See you again in the next video.